In the dimly lit control room of Earth's Global Defense Initiative, the air felt heavy with tension. Commander Park Jin-woo stood with perfect military posture, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The room was packed with world leaders, military commanders, and scientists, all gathered for what they thought would be a routine update on deep space monitoring. The peaceful morning changed when the screens flickered and a being of pure crystalline structure appeared before them. Its voice resonated through the chamber, each word falling like shards of ice. "People of Earth," it began, "I speak on behalf of the Galactic Council." Jin-woo felt his throat tighten. For years, they had searched the stars for signs of life. Now, life had found them instead. The crystalline being's form shifted and sparkled as it moved, creating rainbow patterns on the walls of the control room. "Earth is hereby declared a primitive quarantine zone," the being announced. "Your development has been observed and found wanting. You will submit to council authority or face the consequences of defiance." Dr. Kim Han, standing beside Jin-woo, gripped her tablet so hard her knuckles turned white. She had spent the last decade studying potential alien civilizations, but nothing in her research had prepared her for this moment. Her dark eyes narrowed as she analyzed every detail of the crystalline being's structure. "They'd been watching us all along," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Jin-woo glanced at her, noting how her usual confident demeanor had been replaced by a mix of fascination and dread. The truth hit them like a physical blow. Humanity's slow technological progress hadn't been natural. Strange accidents in research facilities, unexplained failures in breakthrough experiments, mysterious disappearances of innovative scientists. It all made sense now. The world leaders in the room began to murmur among themselves. The President of the United States stood up, her face stern. "And if we refuse?" The crystalline being's light pulsed brighter. "Then you will learn why primitive species do not challenge the Council." The threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. Jin-woo's mind raced through military scenarios. Earth's combined forces, their most advanced weapons, their best strategies. Would any of it matter against a civilization capable of secretly influencing their development for so long? Dr. Han was already pulling up data on her tablet, her fingers flying across the screen. "Commander," she said, her voice stronger now, "look at these readings. The energy signature from their transmission. It matches anomalies I've been tracking for years. They've been here, on Earth, among us." The hologram continued its message, listing demands and restrictions, but Jin-woo was focused on Hayan's discovery. If they could track these energy signatures, maybe they could find where these beings had been operating from. "How long?" Jin-woo asked quietly. "Based on my initial analysis. Decades, maybe centuries," Hayan replied, her voice tight with anger. "They'd been holding us back, Commander. Every major technological leap we should have made, they prevented it." The world leaders began arguing among themselves. Some wanted immediate surrender to protect their people. Others demanded resistance at any cost. The room grew louder with each passing moment. Jin-woo stood silent, watching the crystalline being's message repeat itself. He thought about his grandfather's stories of resistance during Earth's darkest times, about humanity's endless capacity to fight back against impossible odds. "Dr. Kim," he said finally, "gather every piece of data you have on these energy signatures. Every anomaly, every unexplained event. We need to know what we're really dealing with." Hayan nodded, already sending messages to her research team. "They made one mistake, Commander," she said, a small smile forming on her lips. "They revealed themselves. Now we know what to look for." The ultimatum was clear: submit or face destruction. But as Jin-woo looked around the room at the determined faces of Earth's leaders, he knew submission wasn't an option. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and their own destructive tendencies. Now they faced their greatest challenge, not just fighting an advanced alien civilization, but overcoming centuries of hidden manipulation. The game had changed, but Earth wasn't going to play by the Council's rules anymore. Suho nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. Then we need to be strategic about this. We can't alert them too soon. He turned to address the entire lab. What you've discovered here changes everything. But we need to be smart about how we use it. The Council thought they could keep us down by locking away our potential, Mayray said, her voice firm. They didn't realize that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our DNA. It's in our determination. Now we know what they did to us. We can fight back. Suho looked at the neural patterns again, seeing them with new eyes. Each flash of activity, each unique pattern, represented human potential that had been deliberately suppressed. The Council's actions proved they feared what humanity might become. Soon, they would learn their fear was justified. Earth wouldn't just fight back. They would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. And it would all start here, in this underground lab, with the unlocking of humanity's hidden strength. The morning sky over the Pacific Ocean turned from soft pink to an unnatural purple as the Council warships broke through Earth's atmosphere. Colonel Yun Ta-young stood in the command center of the newly established planetary defense station, watching as red dots appeared on the global tracking system. 3 warships, approaching from high orbit, reported Lieutenant Park, her fingers moving swiftly across the holographic controls. They're making no attempt to hide their approach. Ta-young nodded, his expression calm despite the weight of the moment. For 6 months, they had prepared for this, knowing the Council wouldn't let Earth's defiance go unanswered. The alien ships were massive, each one nearly 2 kilometers long, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to absorb light. "They're broadcasting," another officer announced. The message came through clear and cold. "This is your only warning. Submit to Council authority or face immediate disciplinary action." Ta-young allowed himself a small smile. The Council's arrogance was exactly what they had counted on. While the aliens had watched Earth's official military preparations, they had missed the secret facilities buried deep in mountains and beneath oceans. "All stations, report status," he ordered, his voice steady. "Pacific Defense Grid online. Reverse-engineered shields at full power. Quantum targeting systems ready. Salvaged weapon systems standing by." For months, teams had worked around the clock, studying and rebuilding technology from crashed Council scout ships and hidden observation posts. Every failure, every explosion, every setback had taught them something new about alien technology. Now it was time to show what they had learned. The Council ships moved into attack position, their weapons charging with a brilliant blue light. They expected to face conventional Earth weapons, missiles, fighter jets, perhaps some primitive energy weapons. They weren't prepared for what happened next. "Execute Pattern Alpha," Ta-young commanded. Across the Pacific, hidden platforms rose from the waves. They looked cobbled together, a mix of Earth metals and salvaged alien technology, but their power was undeniable. Quantum-locked energy beams, reversed engineered from Council technology, lanced upward through the atmosphere. The first Council ship took a direct hit to its propulsion system. The alien metal, designed to be impervious to conventional weapons, couldn't withstand an attack from its own technology. The massive vessel listed to one side, its engine sputtering with purple fire. "Second wave, engage," Ta-young ordered. The Council ships attempted to regroup, but Earth's defense systems had been specifically designed to counter their tactics. Electromagnetic pulses, modified to match the frequency of Council shield systems, disabled their communications. Quantum-guided missiles, built with salvaged alien drive systems, curved around their defensive screens. "They're launching fighters," Lieutenant Park reported. Ta-young watched as smaller craft poured from the warships. "Deploy our surprises." From hidden bases along the coast, Earth's hybrid fighters took to the sky. They were ugly machines, human aircraft rebuilt with alien technology, but they moved with impossible speed and agility. Council pilots, trained to fight against primitive craft, found themselves outmaneuvered by machines that combined human ingenuity with alien tech. The battle turned into chaos. Council ships, used to fighting with precise, predetermined tactics, couldn't adapt to the unpredictable nature of Earth's defense. Their attempts to coordinate failed as Earth's electronic warfare systems, enhanced with reverse-engineered quantum technology, scrambled their communications. Direct hit on their flagship, someone shouted. The largest council vessel shuddered as multiple energy beams converged on its command center. Its shields flickered and died, and the massive ship began to fall. All units, coordinate containment, Tai Yun ordered. They couldn't let the ships crash into populated areas. Tractor beams, another gift from salvage technology, reached out to guide the falling vessels toward the open ocean. The battle had lasted just 3 hours. When it ended, 3 Council warships lay partially submerged in the Pacific, their once proud hulls now scared and silent. Rescue ships approached cautiously, ready to assist any survivors. Tai Yun looked at the tactical display, checking the status of Earth's forces. They had lost some aircraft. Some defense platforms had burned out, but the casualties were far fewer than their worst-case scenarios had predicted. "Send word to command," he said quietly. "First engagement successful. The Council's demonstration of power has been demonstrated upon." As reports began flowing in from around the Pacific Rim, Tai Yun allowed himself to feel a moment of pride. Humanity had just won its first battle against a galactic power. The Council had expected to find a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they had found an enemy capable of turning their own technology against them. The real war was just beginning, but this first victory would echo across the galaxy. Humanity had proven it wouldn't be easy prey. They had shown that determination and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced technology. Earth's first victory against galactic forces would be recorded in history not just as a military triumph, but as the moment humanity announced its true potential to the stars. In a hidden facility beneath Seoul's busy streets, Intelligence Officer Choi Ji-won sat before a wall of quantum communication displays, her tired eyes fixed on the shifting patterns of light. The room hummed with energy as advanced computers, built from a mix of human and alien technology, processed signals from across the galaxy. Contact established, her system announced, and a new face appeared on the main screen. The being was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to flow like liquid mercury. A Lumerian diplomat, one of many species who had lived under Council rule for thousands of years. "Your message reached us," the Lumerian said, its voice translated through advanced software. "Is it true? Did your people really defeat Council warships?" Ji-won nodded, sending the battle data through their secure channel. 3 ships disabled. We used their own technology against them, modified with our own innovations. The Lumerian's skin rippled with colors of amazement. In another window, a Vexed representative joined the conversation. The Vexed looked more mechanical than organic, their species having merged with technology ages ago. Their crystalline eyes sparkled with interest as they reviewed Earth's battle footage. "Impossible," the Vexed commented. "The Council's technology is designed to be unusable by lesser species. How did you manage this?" In a nearby laboratory, Professor Nam Do-hyun was demonstrating exactly how. He stood before a group of alien scientists, connected through secure quantum channels, showing them a dismantled Council weapon. "Look at how they designed this," he explained, pointing to the complex circuits. "They built it to work one way, the way they thought was perfect. But we looked at it and saw a dozen different possibilities." Do-hyun moved to a workbench where Earth's modified version sat. "We didn't try to copy it exactly. We asked ourselves how we could make it work better, differently. That's humanity's strength. We don't just use technology, we reimagine it." Back in the communications room, Ji-won was building a network of resistance. Species that had never dared to challenge the Council were now reaching out, inspired by Earth's victory. The Lumerians offered their knowledge of Council transportation systems. The Vex shared their understanding of quantum communications. The Council keeps us divided, Jai-1 explained to her growing list of allies. They make each species feel alone, isolated. But together, we're stronger than they ever imagined. Do-hyun's voice came through on another channel as he continued his technical demonstration. See how we modified the quantum core. The Council designed it to be stable, predictable. We made it adaptive, able to change its output based on conditions. They call it crude. We call it effective. The alien scientists watched in fascination as he powered up the modified weapon. Instead of the standard energy beam, it produced a field that could disable Council systems without destroying them. We don't need to match their technology, he explained. We just need to understand it well enough to find its weaknesses. Jai-1's network grew hourly. Species that had been enemies under Council rule found common ground in their desire for freedom. She coordinated secure drops of Earth's modified technology, teaching other races how to adapt their own devices. The Council believes technology should be perfect, unchanging, Do-hyun told his audience. Humanity believes in evolution, in constant improvement. Every failure teaches us something new. Every mistake shows us a new possibility. The resistance movement spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Earth became a symbol of hope for species that had known only submission. Ji-1 worked around the clock, coordinating information exchanges, arranging secret meetings, building trust between former rivals. We've lived under their control for so long, a Lumerian leader admitted during one secure session. We forgot we could question their authority. We forgot we could think differently. Do-hyun's technical sessions became legendary among the resistance. He taught them not just how to modify technology, but how to think about it differently. The Council's greatest weakness, he explained, is their belief that their way is the only way. As the days passed, more species joined the underground revolution. Each brought their own knowledge, their own technologies, their own ways of thinking. Earth became a hub of innovation, where different species could share ideas freely for the first time in millennia. The Council's power isn't in their advanced technology, Jai-1 told her growing network of allies. It's in making us believe we can't challenge them. But Earth has proved them wrong, and together, we can do even more. The revolution wasn't fought with just weapons and ships. It was fought with ideas, with innovation, with the simple belief that different species working together could create something better than the Council's rigid control. In her command center, Jai-1 looked at the faces of her alien allies, each one representing a species ready to fight for change. The Council had created an empire based on isolation and control. Earth was building something new, an alliance based on cooperation and shared innovation. The revolution had begun, not with a bang, but with the quiet sharing of ideas across quantum channels, with the steady building of trust between species, with the simple act of showing the galaxy that there was another way to live. Among the gleaming spires of the Council's central station, Ambassador Song Minji walked through halls that had seen countless civilizations rise and fall. The massive space structure spun slowly, creating artificial gravity that felt slightly off to her human bones. She had been here for 3 months now, watching, listening, and quietly building support among the Council's member species. Today, she noticed the change in how other representatives looked at her. Gone were the dismissive glances, replaced by curious stares and thoughtful expressions. News of Earth's successful defense and growing alliance network had spread, despite the Council's attempts to control information. Ambassador Song called a voice behind her. She turned to see Kilax, a representative of the Aerith species, hurrying to catch up. His crystalline form sparkled under the station's lights. Might we speak privately? In her diplomatic office, designed to accommodate various alien physiologies, Minji listened as Kilax expressed his species' growing concerns about Council leadership. For 10,000 years, we accepted their guidance without question, he said. But your people have shown us something different. Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Bak Sung-min studied holographic battle maps in his mobile command center. Red dots showed Council forces, blue showed Earth's defenders, moving in patterns that seemed random but followed a carefully crafted strategy. "They're trying to predict our next move," he told his officers, pointing to Council fleet formations. "But they can't, because we're not following their rulebook." His team had developed tactics that combined ancient Earth military strategies with modern technology. On the Council station, Minji attended a full assembly. The vast chamber held representatives from hundreds of species. The Council leaders, seated on their elevated platform, were discussing increased measures against Earth's rebellion. But something was different. Species that had never spoken against Council decisions were raising objections. A Vexari representative stood up, its wing membranes fluttering with nervous energy. "If Earth could defeat Council warships, perhaps we should consider their perspective rather than simply condemning them." The Council chamber erupted in murmurs. Minji kept her expression neutral, but inside she smiled. The cracks were spreading faster than expected. Back in Earth's atmosphere, General Sung Min's forces engaged another Council attack squadron. Instead of meeting them head-on, Earth's ships scattered, drawing the Council forces into a complex web of ambush points. Council commanders, trained in formal battle doctrine, struggled to adapt to tactics that seemed to defy military logic. "They expect us to fight like them," Sung Min explained to his pilots. "They expect set formations, standard attacks. Instead, we fight like our ancestors, like guerrilla warriors with spaceships." On the station, Minji met secretly with representatives from 15 species. They gathered in a secure room, shielded from Council surveillance. "Earth doesn't want to destroy the Council," she explained. "We want to transform it, to create a true alliance of equals." The aliens shared looks of both hope and fear. Millennia of Council control had left deep marks. But Earth's examples of resistance and innovation had awakened something long dormant in these species, the desire for change. Sung Min's forces claimed another victory. Council ships, trapped by unconventional tactics, were forced to retreat. Their commanders couldn't understand how a supposedly primitive species was consistently outmaneuvering their superior technology. "They think technology wins wars," Sung Min told his staff. "They forgot that wars are won by those who adapt, who think differently, who surprise their enemies." In the Council chamber, the division grew more visible each day. Species began openly questioning ancient policies. Some called for dialogue with Earth. Others demanded reform of the Council itself. The ruling members struggled to maintain control as their authority eroded. Minji worked tirelessly, moving between different species, building bridges, finding common ground. "Earth has shown that resistance is possible," she told them. "But true change will come from unity, from all species working together for a better future." The Council's military leaders faced increasing criticism. Their inability to suppress Earth's rebellion was damaging their reputation. How could a species they had dismissed as primitive continue to defeat their forces? Sung Min's tactics evolved constantly. One day his forces would fight like ancient Roman legions, the next like Mongol horsemen, then like Vietnamese guerrillas, all adapted to space warfare. Council strategists, searching their databases for patterns, found only confusion. On the station, Minji received word that 3 more species had secretly joined Earth's alliance. The Council's grip was weakening. Species that had been silent for millennia were finding their voices. "The galaxy is changing," she told her growing circle of allies. "The Council's time of absolute rule is ending. Together, we can build something better." The revolution wasn't just happening in space battles or secret meetings. It was happening in the minds of countless beings who, inspired by Earth's example, began to question what they had always accepted as unchangeable truth. Looking out at the stars from her station window, Minji thought about how far they had come. Earth's resistance had grown into something larger, a movement for change that was reshaping the galaxy's political landscape. The Council was dividing, and from that division, a new future would emerge. In his command center, Sung Min prepared for another battle. knowing that each victory brought them closer to their goal. The Council's military might was faltering not against superior force, but against the one thing they couldn't predict or control: humanity's endless capacity to adapt and innovate. Captain Ryu Hyun-seo stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Dauntless, watching as his fleet emerged from quantum space. The vessels were smaller than Council warships, but packed with innovations that merged human ingenuity with alien technology. Ahead lay the Council's primary military production facility, a massive structure orbiting a dying star. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer announced. The fleet moved in perfect coordination, using formations inspired by ancient sea battles, but adapted for three-dimensional space warfare. In her laboratory deep within a lunar base, Dr. Oh Jae-yun monitored the fleet's neural interfaces. Her screens showed the brainwave patterns of every ship captain, their crews linked in ways the Council had never imagined possible. "Neural synchronization at 100%, she reported through the quantum comm. The technology she had developed allowed human minds to work in harmony, sharing thoughts and reactions at the speed of thought. Hyun-seo gave the order to begin their attack. The Earth fleet split into smaller groups, each moving with unexpected precision. Council defenders scrambled to respond, but Earth's ships were already executing maneuvers that defied standard combat logic. "They're trying to predict our attack pattern," Hyun-seo observed, watching the Council ships form their traditional defensive screens. "Show them why that's impossible." Earth's ships suddenly shifted tactics. Some vessels seemed to vanish, using technology reverse-engineered from Council stealth systems, but modified in ways their creators never imagined. Others executed maneuvers that should have torn them apart, their hulls protected by adaptive shields that adjusted to each strain. Jae-yun's research had revealed something extraordinary about human neural patterns. Unlike other species, whose brains followed fixed pathways, human minds created new connections constantly. This ability, combined with their newly unlocked genetic potential, made them capable of intuitive leaps that left Council strategists baffled. "The Council feared us because they couldn't predict us," Jae-yun explained to her team as they monitored the battle. "They saw our potential for rapid adaptation as a threat to their ordered universe." The battle unfolded like a complex dance. Earth ships struck from impossible angles, their weapons modified to bypass Council defenses. When the Council adapted, Earth forces simply changed tactics again, using strategies pulled from thousands of years of human military history. Hyun-seo felt the neural link humming in his mind, connecting him to every captain in his fleet. They moved as one, yet each brought their own creativity to the fight. Council commanders, used to rigid command structures, couldn't comprehend how such coordination was possible without central control. Their mistake, Hyun-seo told his crew, was thinking they could suppress human potential. Instead, they forced us to become stronger, more innovative, more determined. In her lab, Jae-yun watched as human neural patterns lit up her displays. Each creative solution, each split-second decision, showed patterns that no Council species could replicate. Humans didn't just solve problems, they invented new ways of thinking about them. The Council facility's defenses began to crumble. Earth ships struck key points, using weaknesses that only human intuition could have discovered. The massive structure's shields flickered and failed, not from brute force, but from attacks it was never designed to defend against. "This is why they feared us," Jae-yun transmitted to the fleet. "Our minds don't follow their rules. We see possibilities they never imagined." Hyun-seo ordered the final phase of the attack. Earth ships, moving in perfect coordination, executed a maneuver that looked like chaos, but was actually precisely planned. The Council's remaining defenders, trying to follow standard response protocols, found themselves caught in a trap that they couldn't understand. The facility fell within hours. Earth forces had achieved what the Council had thought impossible, a direct victory against one of their most heavily defended installations. But the true victory wasn't in the destruction they caused, but in the way they achieved it. "Humanity unleashed," Jae-yun mused, watching the neural patterns of the fleet slowly calm as the battle ended. Not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the one thing the Council could never control: our ability to think differently. As Han Seo's fleet secured their victory, the message spread across Council space. Humanity had not just proved themselves capable of standing against the Council, they had shown why the Council had been right to fear them, and wrong to try to suppress them. The Council's attempt to keep humanity contained had backfired completely. Instead of a primitive species easily controlled, they had created an adversary that had turned their own technology against them in ways they never imagined possible. Han Seo looked out at the stars, knowing this victory was just the beginning. Humanity had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's fear of human potential had been justified, but their response to that fear had only ensured that humanity would become exactly what they had tried to prevent. In the Grand Assembly Hall of the newly established Galactic Alliance, built from the remains of the Council's central station, Kim Jun-ho adjusted his formal robes as he prepared to address the gathered representatives. The chamber, redesigned to accommodate all species comfortably, hummed with excited conversation in dozens of languages. Through the vast windows, ships from every allied species moved in a ceremonial dance against the backdrop of stars. Earth vessels flew alongside Lumerian light cruisers and vexed bioships, their formations telling a story of unity rather than dominance. Jun-ho took a deep breath, remembering the long path that had led to this moment. The final battles against the Council's loyalist forces had ended 3 months ago. Now, representatives from over 200 species had gathered to formalize the new galactic order. "Look at them," whispered an aide beside him. "A year ago, they wouldn't even speak to each other. Now they're planning joint scientific missions." Jun-ho smiled, watching as a crystalline Aerith delegate engaged in animated discussion with a gaseous Zil researcher. The Council had kept species separate, afraid of what they might achieve together. Now that artificial division was crumbling. The chamber's lights dimmed slightly, signaling the start of the ceremony. Jun-ho walked to the central platform, which adjusted its height automatically so all species could see him clearly. The universal translators hummed to life, ready to carry his words to every being present. "Friends," he began, his voice carrying across the vast space, "we gather today not as rulers and subjects, not as advanced and primitive, but as equals. Earth's victory over the Council was not just our victory. It belonged to every species that dared to dream of something better." The assembled representatives listened intently. Some had supported Earth from the beginning, others had joined the Alliance later, but all had contributed to the final outcome. The Council believed that order came from control, from suppression, from forcing all species to follow a single path. Jun-ho continued, "They were wrong. True stability comes from cooperation, from celebrating our differences, from allowing each species to develop in their own way." Outside, more ships arrived in formation. The fleet grew larger, a living symbol of the new alliance. Each vessel represented a species that had chosen to join this new form of galactic society. "We offer partnership," Jun-ho declared, his words echoing through the chamber. "Not dominance. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to grow together. Earth remembers what it means to be suppressed, to be told we were too primitive to join galactic society. We will never impose such restrictions on others." The assembly hall erupted in approval. Species that had once been bitter rivals under Council rule now shared hopes for the future. Research that had been restricted was now freely shared. Trade routes that had been controlled were now open to all. A holographic display activated, showing the proposed structure of the new Galactic Alliance. Unlike the Council's rigid hierarchy, this was a web of connections, with each species contributing their unique strengths to the whole. "Already, we see what we can achieve together," Jun-ho said, gesturing to the display. Lumerian light drive technology combined with vexed neural interfaces. Earth's adaptive thinking merged with Aerith crystal computing. Every species brings something unique to our alliance. The gathering watched as the hologram showed new projects already underway: joint scientific missions, cultural exchange programs, combined defense initiatives. The Council's fall had unleashed a wave of cooperation and innovation. "This is just the beginning," Junho concluded, looking out at the assembled representatives. "Together, we will explore not just the galaxy, but new ways of thinking, new forms of cooperation, new possibilities that none of us could achieve alone." As he finished speaking, the ships outside began a coordinated light display, their energy signatures combining to create patterns of breathtaking beauty. Each species added their own touch to the performance, creating something that had never been seen before in the galaxy. The age of suppression was truly over. Humanity had not just survived the Council's attempt to contain them. They had helped create something entirely new. Looking out at the representatives of hundreds of species, now talking freely and sharing ideas, Junho knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had changed forever. Where the Council had built walls, the Alliance would build bridges. Where they had enforced uniformity, the Alliance would celebrate diversity. Where they had suppressed potential, the Alliance would help it flourish. As the ceremony concluded and the real work of building this new society began, Junho smiled. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of a new era. An era where no species would be called primitive, where innovation would be celebrated, not feared, and where the combined creativity of hundreds of civilizations would lead to achievements beyond imagination. The chronicles of Earth's resistance had ended, but the story of the Galactic Alliance was just beginning.